Hello and welcome.
Welcome to
Girls Gone Spooky. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Amy.
And we're together.
I can't believe it.
I cannot believe it. Wow. So we are live from Estes Park, Colorado.
Yeah.
At the Stanley Hotel, which is
in the bed.
Together.
Yeah.
In a spooky way, not a sexy way.
Right.
We've got some really creepy shit to share.
Yeah.
So, do you want to start with our arrival?
Sure.
Here at the Stanley?
Yeah. Well, anybody who's been here can probably envision this, but it's pretty ominous in a way coming in. It's beautiful, but there's just something eerie about it because it's stark white against like a mountain backdrop.
Like a dark mountain.
Yeah. So it just looks kind of, like a fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does.
So
eerie.
In it sets you up to feel a little like, eerie. And then we checked in and we came to our room and it was 85 degrees in here.
It was so hot. It was like hell. It was like a hell on earth.
And it was impossible to turn it down because they have it like on a system for the whole hotel, apparently. So we had to have maintenance come and it was still hot. Like, I don't know. It was like 70 something. But that, because Olivia was saying that's kind of part of the book, at least. I can't remember.
The Shining. Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know what the Stanley Hotel is, this is the hotel that Stephen King came to and was inspired to write The Shining, which obviously was then turned into a movie with Jack Nicholson and like very famous. So if you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil it, but it's old, so like you deserve it. Yeah. But a couple things with that. Like they're in the movie, not so much, but in the books, the main character, the guy who Jack Nicholson plays, it complains a lot about like, oh, it's so hot in here. And all the way leading up to the very end of the book, which the big climax has to do with the boiler in the hotel.
That's right.
And so the idea is like the dad brings his family there in the winter to like watch the hotel essentially through the winter months, and they're alone there. So they've got like a ton of food and like all this stuff, but like there's no staff. It's just them. And he's just like the caretaker for the winter season. And they're basically snowed in, which is what Stephen King experienced when he came to the Stanley. The hotel in The Shining is called the Overlook Hotel. But it's supposed to be the same thing. And the idea is like he gets driven mad by the ghosts of the hotel and then basically like is pushed by the spirits to kill himself and his family by exploding the boiler. So there's this like common theme of like the boiler needs to have pressure released from it or it will explode and kill everyone. So it was just eerie because it was like, and it makes you think too about if you imagine yourself as Stephen King, I think in the 70s when he came here, like that eerie feeling and like the rooms being super hot, if that's the case, and knowing that the whole system is like the heating system is all centralized, probably from a boiler. Yeah. It's just very creepy, and you can see the inspiration, like the details that he probably pulled from this, like being at this hotel.
Yeah, you can. And we took a tour.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But I also took a tour before this, and we got to see different parts than what we saw last night.
Yeah.
And the dining area, it's like this huge, massive room that's just open. And they talked about how Stephen King was, because he was here alone pretty much, and he would go down to breakfast and like sit at a table in the middle of this gigantic dining room and just formulate the story. And I can't imagine how strange that would feel to be.
So strange. I mean, I feel creeped out being alone in like a bathroom here. Yeah. Like it's, I don't know, there's something really creepy about it. And we'll kind of get to what they think the cause of that is, which is kind of a chicken or the egg thing. It's like, is it, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But a little bit on the tour. So we did a night tour, which I think didn't like Amy was saying, when she did it pretty recently. When did you go?
It was like a year ago, probably.
Yeah, so not that long ago.
Mhm.
Our tour guide was
Incredible.
incredible. Like,
Yeah.
very odd man,
Mhm.
just no shame about being a
Yeah.
weirdo,
Yeah.
and like so fun and
Yeah.
funny,
He
and
was an
like
actor.
totally,
Yeah.
yeah, he was an actor, and it was
Mhm.
awesome. And he did some like debunking as we went too. Like there are like theories about some of the ghosts or spirits that are here, and he's like, this is what people say, but we actually have no historical record of some of these things happening.
Right.
Um, we didn't explore the rooms, which like I thought were the source of the
Yeah.
hauntings, but I guess maybe that's not actually true.
Yeah. I think certain rooms,
Yeah.
but since potentially guests are staying in those rooms, we
Yeah.
obviously can't
Right.
go on
Yeah.
a tour.
Yeah.
But I think the fourth floor, like I'm trying to remember, because we
Yeah.
did a whole episode on the Stanley at one
Mm-hmm.
point. The fourth floor has a lot of activity
Yeah.
going on. So who knows why that
Yeah.
happens. But yeah.
Yeah. So 217 and 401 are the like allegedly haunted rooms. We didn't really talk about them at all.
Yeah.
And like the tour guide didn't talk about them. I think we may have covered them
Yes.
in a past episode.
Yeah. The only mention was
Elizabeth?
217.
Oh.
It's Elizabeth.
Yeah.
The ghost in there is Elizabeth. And should we just tell
Yeah,
her story?
go for it.
She was a housekeeper here for years and years, starting, I guess, right when the hotel
1909.
opened. So yeah, she's
Yeah,
like
long
the
time.
original. And I think you would imagine that maybe she died here in the hotel. She did not. She died peacefully at her home. But
her home was on the property, I think.
He said it was like across Estes,
Oh,
which
okay.
is not big,
Yeah,
so it's
okay.
close. But
not on the property. Got it.
yeah. So she passed away, but the day after she died, the bellman and whatever, whoever was at the front desk, saw her come in the front door, just as if she was coming to work like normal, and
clocked in,
yeah.
said good morning, like totally normal.
Yep. And now she's in room 217 still. That was one of the rooms that she was tasked with cleaning. And now, if she likes you, she'll fold your clothes, she'll make your bed, she'll do all of the tasks that she had in life.
Yeah.
If she doesn't like you, she'll pack your suitcase, put your shoes on top,
by the door.
Yeah, suggest, okay.
Yeah, time for you to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said that like obviously like the bellman and whoever was at the front desk when she came in, like her spirit, I guess, came into the hotel, they didn't know that she was gone yet. And so they didn't think anything of it until the afternoon when she had presumably gone off to clean her rooms, and so, like the staff was looking for her in the afternoon. They couldn't find her, to the point where they went to her home and found her dead body. And it was from the previous night. And I think that was like the 1950s.
Yeah.
It's a long
was like
time.
90 something when she died. So she was working.
Yeah, she was working all the way to the end.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. Maybe we'll finish with Paul. Do you want to talk about Lucy?
Sure. So I think we know that Lucy existed, but a lot of her story is a mystery. But she was a young, I guess, teen to early 20s girl who was homeless. And so she snuck in and lived in this creepy little unfinished closet in the basement of the concert hall here. And let's see, did she die in here? Is that
the theory is that she was found. She was in this like creepy unfinished closet. They found her there squatting and kicked her out into the snow essentially, and she died of exposure.
She was freezing.
Yeah.
And now,
which they've debunked. Well, not debunked, but there's just no historical record of that. And the hotel like swears up and down, like, we wouldn't be that cruel. It's winter in the mountains. Like, this is not a like casual place to be on the streets.
I can't imagine that they would do that.
No, it just seems unnecessarily cruel.
It would be hard to track somebody down.
For sure.
Like from the 70s, an unhoused woman. No social media, obviously.
Right.
You can't look it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but our tour guide, we want to
Yeah,
try
we
out
have to try
this little theory. I think he was probably,
manipulating
yes,
things. Yeah.
but he had a dum dum, so those little lollipops.
Mhm.
And he said you just got to make the wrapper really flat, and then you put it on your hand, on your palm, and it can move. And Lucy loves candy, so she will help it move. And he'll say, like, put it towards me for
Yeah.
yes, put it away from me for no, or
Yeah.
whatever. And apparently Lucy was with us.
Yeah.
She was moving that
Yeah.
lollipop.
Yeah, he said that she can lift the stick up, she can drop the stick, she can make it spin around, or sometimes it'll fly off your hand.
Yeah.
So, it's hard though, because it's like the stick would slowly rise, and it was like, okay, like Lucy, like good job. But it was like, it's very possible that it's responsive to small movements in your hand.
That we wouldn't even be able to see.
Exactly. So if he's tensing like the center of his palm and we can't really see that, I could see that lifting the stick. So we're gonna test it and we'll come back.
We gotta go to the bank or something.
Yeah, exactly. Get a dum dum. Yeah. So yeah, Lucy was like an interesting one. The weirdest thing about that one to me was the space where she was. It was really creepy in there. Like unfinished dirt flooring, like exposed insulation and piping. It's just like, oh, like the position you'd have to be like, oh, this is comfortable.
Maybe.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So then, you guys.
This is the big one.
This is the big one. So we fucking caught a ghost on camera.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure yet how exactly we're going to share these photos, but we will share them one way or another, definitely on social, but I'll overlay them here if I can. So we're in this concert hall, and our tour guide is telling us about a spirit named Paul, who was a caretaker, like a groundskeeper for the hotel and the grounds, and he died of natural causes on the property. He was shoveling snow right outside of the concert hall and had a heart attack and passed away. And there have been many, many, many accounts of people, I think, seeing him in the concert hall. And then also, especially if people were there after hours, like when they were not supposed to be, they would hear, "Get out."
Yeah.
So they'd hear Paul yell at them to leave, which is like very eerie. Yeah. And then what was the other thing they said if you ignored him?
I don't remember.
He said like if you ignored him, he'd like turn up the heat a little bit, but I can't remember exactly.
Said specifically.
Yeah.
I think he just said
it'd get more threatening. But anyway, so we're like walking around, and like it's a night tour, so they're trying to make it spooky.
Yeah.
And they turn off all the lights and stuff, but so and he encouraged us, like, take photos of everything, take multiple photos of the same thing, because sometimes you'll see something in one photo and not in another when they're taken like rapid succession. And that is exactly what happened. We were taking photos of everything, and we talked about this. We're like, let's just take as many photos as we can, and then we'll go to the hotel bar, like have a glass of wine and like look through the photos. So we're taking photos of everything, whatever. We get to the hotel bar afterwards, and I'm like zooming in because if you think about like a concert hall, there's the stage, and then if you're standing like on the stage facing back, there's the entrance, the doors, which are just double doors. There's like walls on either side, and then some like kind of tabletops and like equipment probably. And then up above, there's like
a balcony.
Yeah, a balcony. And they have cool stuff up there, like posters of all the like performers who've come through, and they've had some like cool people come. But it's kind of creepy up there because it's like dark and like you can see the posters. But so we're at the bar, and I'm like zooming in on the balcony. I'm like, like scrolling along. And then I swipe to the next photo, and I kind of like look down to the bottom left of the image, and I was like, that's weird. There's like a shadowy person standing in the corner of the space, and I'm toggling back and forth between the photos. They were both taken at the same minute, so 8:12. Yeah. And you can see, for context, one of the other people in the tour is in the lit up like lobby in the doorway. So in the first photo where there's nothing, it's just like a dark black tabletop against a stark white wall and door. you can see he's right at the doorway. You can see like he's like on the carpet
Yeah.
right before the like center design in the carpet. And then you swipe to the next photo where there's this like shadowy figure and he's maybe 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
So it's like you have this like contextual, like, okay, if he was walking, this was probably taken 3 seconds apart.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way, even if it was someone from the tour, which it honestly does not look like, it looks very supernatural, we would have seen them walking into the frame.
Right.
Like it just, they wouldn't have been able to get there because they were kind of wedged between a wall and some piece of equipment.
Yeah. Or even recognize that it looks like somebody from the tour and it doesn't.
No.
It's like
very spectral.
The back of somebody's head.
Yeah, and it literally looks like they're like facing a wall with their head kind of turned to the side. It's very eerie.
Yeah.
We were like covered in goosebumps.
Yeah.
So
it's compelling.
Very compelling. So we're looking at these 2 photos. I like zoom in on both and screenshot the zoom in. So like we will post all of this and share this with you guys. So then we're like freaking out at the hotel bar and there's a couple beside us, Mike and Natasha, who so cool. They had like come here to like hole up and like do every experience they possibly could at the Stanley, which like I feel like we should come back and do it like that. They like did the Shining tour yesterday or 2 days ago. They did the whiskey tasting. Yeah, last night they were doing the seance, which is with like a mentalist, so you know, it's more of a performance than like maybe a paranormal experience, although in a place like this you just don't really know. But yeah, and then I think tonight they were going to do the night tour. So they were like really excited. Or no, they had already done it, I guess.
They did it. Yeah.
Yeah, the night before.
They had a different tour guide.
That's right. Did. Okay, so they went through different areas that we didn't see. And there are allegedly over 200 spirits on this property. And so one of them that we didn't talk about at all is one named Dennis, which like sounds kind of goofy. Yeah. And Mike and Natasha had said like, we were thinking it would be like a kid, like, yeah, Dennis the Menace, exactly. And then they showed them a photo, like the tour guide showed them a photo of Dennis, and it's like a grown man, like kind of a creepy looking grown man. So they're like, well, we took a scary photo too. Like we showed them ours and they were like, oh my God, like you caught a ghost on camera and we did too. Like, look at this. So Mike had like taken a photo down the hallway. And if you zoom in, he was like, I was the last person. There was no one else in the tour left. If you zoom in down the hallway, you can see like part of someone's head, arm, and hand like creeping around the corner of a wall. It is, it's so scary.
And I wonder though what era Dennis is from.
I don't know.
Because it looks kind of like he's wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of makes it like creepier.
Like a little more modern.
Yeah.
It's almost, it gives it kind of a, like a horror movie vibe. Yes. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of energy. Yeah. Watching. Yeah. And like someone modern, like that it could be a person, although there was no one in there. So I don't know. It was compelling. Yes. Like I think, I mean, ours, I'm like 100% certain. And theirs also very compelling.
Yeah. But, and on the modern note, Paul he died in 2005.
Yeah. Yeah. Like not that long ago.
He was in the 70s. So there are like modern ghosts here. They're not
what's the Wi-Fi kind of ghosts?
Yeah, exactly.
Not Victorian dress ghosts, but
I think they have both.
Yeah. But, and the hotel's been around since 1909, so it's been over 115 years. So I mean, I really liked something that he had said, our tour guide had said, and we have to talk about the tunnels too. Okay. But when we were in the tunnels, he talked about the fact that like everyone is obsessed with this idea that any haunted place is associated with murder, with violence, with fear and suffering and all these bad things. And he was like, positive emotions are also very strong emotions. Yes. So people get attached to places where, and his theory is like their soul tethers to something on the property. And then when they pass, their soul kind of seeks out those tethers that it created during life. Yeah. So do you want to talk about the tunnels?
Yeah.
So interesting.
I don't know if they go through the whole property or
Yeah.
not, but
They probably used to.
yeah, there's a portion that we were able to see under part of the hotel, and the function of them was for the people who worked here to. He said that they didn't want the servants to be seen, so they had to get through the hotel via the tunnels.
Very early 1900s.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's the attitude.
Yeah.
So there's still a part that we were able to go into, and it's unfinished, obviously. They do have lights, but he turned them off, of course, for effect.
And trying to scare the shit out of us.
Turned them off when you walked away from me. I was like...
and I was alone in, like, so he left the tunnels for a moment to go, because, like, someone was walking above us, and no one was supposed to be up there. Yeah. And so he was like, excuse me a minute, like, I'm just gonna get people out of this room. And so he goes, and I walk to the other end, like, everyone's clustered at one end. I walk to the other end where there is this dark, fucking terrifying little cave tunnel. Yeah. That's, like, roped off, because he was like, no one go in there, because it is literally, like, could collapse any day. But I wanted to take a photo inside, because I was like, what if there's, like, something creepy to capture in here? I didn't, but I took the photo, and then he comes back and immediately turns the lights off. And I was like, oh my God. Amy.
Yeah, I was, like, reaching out.
Yeah, no.
I can't really see.
I know. I, like, turned my phone light so I could find my way back. But oh my God, it scared the shit out of me. Yeah. It was like the running upstairs thinking something's following you feeling. I was like,
it's so scary. But yeah, the tunnels now is just like a dirt path. There's a bunch of rocks, which we'll talk about, like, on the sides. I guess that's what the foundation is built on. But
limestone and...
Shoot. What was
limestone and something else. Yeah, quartz.
Quartz.
Yeah.
But the main scary thing in there was actually a photo taken by somebody on the tour, or not our tour, but a previous tour. And he said that this person was really convinced that he was going to catch something on camera, and he was just so sure for some reason. And so he took a picture. It was like the rock was sort of jutting out, but then there's a dark pathway kind of beside it. And he took a picture facing that, and peeking around the side of the rock is a little girl, just clear as day, just staring. Like,
it really makes it like makes my hands shaky. Like, and she looks like Linda Blair. Yeah. Like, from The Exorcist. Yes. Like, she doesn't look well, I would say. Yeah. And then, so he passed the phone around, and then he was like, okay, now look again at this, like, far right top part of the outcropping of this rock, and there are two other tops of two other little heads. Yeah. And, like, we're looking at the same angle, essentially, that the camera captured this photo, that this guy captured this photo. Yeah. And, like, there's no way that you could mistake, like, you can see the edge of the rock and then their little heads, and then if you use your eyes and look at the rock, there's nothing that could resemble that. Yeah. Let alone, like, literally a child's fucking creepy ass face. Like,
It was very clear. And yeah, he did. I can't remember if this was a true story or if he was just saying this, that some kids did find their way into the tunnels at one point and were playing around down there. So
I think that was real. I think the idea was that, like, the rich kids of the people who were staying at the hotel were playing hide and seek because they were bored and they couldn't really go outside. So they somehow found their way into the servants' tunnels and, like, got caught in there and stuff. But the whole idea was that, like, the material of the rock is, because he was like, raise your hand, what do you think, like, why do you think there are so many spirits here? And everyone was like, Indian burial ground. And he was like, why does everyone say that? He was like, no. And then someone was like, ley lines and, you know, like, electromagnetic fields, things like that. And it's similar, but it's this idea that these specific kinds of rock, limestone and quartz, are energetic, like, magnets, essentially, and traps as well. Yes. So the idea is that the people who died on the property, because this isn't just in the tunnels, this runs under the entire property and probably most of Estes Park, I would guess, and the mountains and everything too, is that any kind of strong emotion, good or bad, that you feel, the rocks kind of capture. And like we were saying before, that it sort of creates this tether to your soul. And the idea is that, like, his theory was that the age at which you make that soul connection with these rocks is the age that you appear. So, for example, like the photo of that child that someone took in the tunnel, they look to be maybe 5 or 6. Most likely they lived to be 70 or 80, but that was the age that they were exposed to this like very powerful, energetic, emotional geology. And so that's the age that they're like their soul is transported back to, and how they appear when they passed eventually and found their way back to this like soul tether.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's an interesting theory.
It is. And I also think then there's like the chicken or the egg kind of thing where it's like, okay, so is it the soul tether that's bringing them back, or does the rock just hold all of that emotion? Like, I believe that to be true no matter what. Like, I think that part is like kind of not up for debate, at least in my, like just being very energetic.
Yeah.
But it would make sense even if it's just that like you come up to the property and you're like, it's creepy here because you're getting all this like overwhelming like feeling that's kind of being like pulsed off of the foundation here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
I've never thought about the idea of a soul tether.
Me neither.
Though, but it's interesting.
It is interesting.
And I do like thinking about how those kids might have lived a full life and come back to be kids again.
Right. Well, and wouldn't that explain so many hauntings? Because it's like, oh, it's the spirit of a little boy. First of all, little kids are often demons. Yes. So there's that. That's true. And that little girl may have been a demon. Yeah. Black-eyed kid, I don't know. But I think there are so many instances where it's like our home is haunted by what looks like a 13-year-old boy, and then you look in like, you know, the historical records of the location and there's nothing. There's no death at that age or death at all. Yeah. But it would explain that, right? Like if something traumatic had happened to them there, or if it was just like a place that gave them a lot of joy or any strong feeling. Yeah.
Particularly if it was a house, like what if they just grew up in that house?
Right.
And something impactful happened at 13. Yeah,
exactly.
And
and then it's sort of the question of like, is it just the residual energy of them being there at that time? Or is it this like concept of a soul tether that they somehow find their way back to? But I don't know, like the ghosts here are allegedly not, they're not bad. Like they tend to be like maybe a little snarky, but like not unkind. Yeah. So it's just so interesting. Like,
it is.
I don't know, but you guys have to let us know what you think about the photos. We'll definitely be putting them on our Instagram, and like I said, we'll share them here if we can. But yeah, I feel like I've seen so many images like this on like Reddit, and I'm like, okay, like that could be doctored, or like it's something that like they can't explain. And I'm sure people could say that about the photos we took, but like because we took them, we know that they're not like, we know for a fact that we didn't doctor them. I don't even know how to doctor them like that. No. So I don't know. It's very bizarre and also compelling and spooky as shit. And and then you had last night too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it was just in my head because I was a little bit on edge being here, but I really felt as though I was being touched in the night, and not gently. Like it felt like my shoulder was being pushed down. Yeah. And I was like having trouble moving it, and also just fearful to try to touch back there because I didn't know what I might find. Yeah. It definitely could be in my head.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, but I also woke up at like 5 a.m., like 4:35, and felt very like I didn't even have time to think about what we had done last night and what we had found. I just had this like like the second my eyes like kind of opened a little, I shut them right away. I was like, I don't want to see anything. Like I don't know, I had a weird feeling.
Yeah. It also doesn't help I think our room is like in a weird
It
little
is.
corner of the
Yeah.
hotel.
Like a very dark corridor,
Yeah.
dark red carpets, and like not a lot of natural light coming in.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in like a little nook.
Yeah.
It's,
And like trying to find our
oh
room
my
was an
God.
experience.
Literally, it's the hedge maze.
Yeah.
The hedge maze.
Yeah, it
Just
is.
trying to find our room.
Yep.
And then and then one more just like weird little thing is like we went to, so there are like multiple different buildings on the property, really like three main ones, I think.
Yeah.
The main Stanley Hotel, which is where we are. And then just to the right, if you're facing the building, there's the lodge, which like looks like a mini version of the hotel, but it's literally like 5 steps away. And then to the right of that is the concert hall. And the lodge has their like breakfast place. It's called Brunch and Co. Bad lunch, as my dad would say. Shout out. Shout out, Dad.
Brunch?
No, he thinks it's just like expensive eggs. And he finds it, I think he likes it if they also have a full lunch menu.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's just an excuse for them to like make something that's like anyone could make at home and then charge you $25 for it. It's like, the fuck?
Like what we did this morning.
Yeah, 100%. Which like,
But
I was not mad. It was good. But yeah, so we went to the bathroom right before we left, and I had already been in the bathroom, and I said to Amy, I was like, let's go to the bathroom. I was like, there was like a cute, like not cute, there's like a shining, like the here's Johnny, like in the window of this like private space. It's probably like where the servers work in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I want to go back and take a picture of this, and then I need to pee before we go. So, and I had said like that I was creeped out being in this bathroom by myself the first time. So it's just she and I in the bathroom. There are two stalls. We're like kind of chatting. We hear someone come in. I hear them like step into the bathroom, hear the door close behind them, and then nothing.
No one was there.
Yeah, Amy left the stall like 2 seconds later, and there was no one in the bathroom. Hi.
Hello.
We're back. Location change.
Different outfit.
Different
I think you
outfits.
might be wearing the
I
same.
actually think I am wearing the same outfit. But don't tell. I'm living out of a suitcase. Okay, so where we left off, nothing spooky happened. The service was just bad at the Stanley Hotel and really all throughout Estes Park. So we were talking about the bathroom story. What I was about to say was it's possible, I suppose, that someone could have opened the door, stepped in, and then just like without closing the door, like backed out. Yeah. But then you were going to say something about that too. That like your stall.
Oh yeah. Just because I was in the bigger stall where you couldn't like easily see somebody's feet.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Be able to tell if someone was in there without actually walking in and looking.
Yeah. And like looking under probably.
Yes. And this person, if this was a person, wouldn't have had time to do that before the door closed.
Yeah.
And the door only opened once.
Yeah.
So who knows?
It was weird. It was just like a weird little like
just a
cap to a spooky experience.
Yes.
So I don't even think we said at the beginning of the episode like the theme is haunted hotels. That's probably pretty obvious because the majority of this was our stay at the Stanley.
Yes.
But we did want to share one other, which is the Mount Washington Hotel. So this is funny because you're like reading along with me. So the Mount Washington Hotel was built in 1902 by Joseph Stickney. It was originally open only during the summer months and became a paradise for people looking to summer in the countryside. Joseph, the builder, died shortly after the hotel was built, and his wife Carolyn then remarried a French prince.
Lucky gal.
Good for you, girl. Although she'd remarried Princess Carolyn, because she's a princess now, continued to spend summers at the hotel, and it's believed Carolyn is like the main ghost that haunts this hotel that her first husband built. There have been many sightings and creepy occurrences that have been recorded in her old suite, which is now guest room 314. And what adds to the spook factor is the fact that the original bed that Carolyn had is still in there for guest use.
Yeah.
So yeah, Carolyn Stickney is the primary ghost guest.
Wait, what was the date on that? Like how old was the bed?
1902 is when it was built, so
it's time to replace.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the mattress is different. Imagine if it weren't.
Oh, it was like a hay.
That was when I first read this. I was like,
mattress.
ew. And then I was like, oh, don't be dumb.
Yeah, no.
So it is a very historic place still, and people rave about it. Like if you search online, it's now owned by the Omni Hotel chain, which is like very upscale hotels. They have a spa and a golf course, and all the rooms have been redone, I guess, other than her bed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh. What was that?
In 2008, ghost hunters visited the hotel. If you're interested in watching it, season 4, episode 7, everywhere. And not surprisingly, there was a lot of paranormal activity there. Specifically, when they visited Princess Carolyn's room, number 314, as well as the towers of the hotel, which are another known hotspot for paranormal things. And it's funny because like the photos have a similar vibe to the Stanley.
It does. I was thinking that looks like the Stanley.
Yeah, stark white, at least the outside. The inside is much more like regal. I don't know how else to describe it. But I mean, the Stanley is too. It's just more
mountain.
Yeah.
Mountainy.
And like old timey, whereas this looks like royal.
It does.
But the Mount Washington has the same like kind of stark white outside with the red roofing, so it's just kind of interesting. And nice that these are themed together for this episode.
It works.
So lots of reports of paranormal activity in Carolyn's room 314. So guests and employees have seen her ghost sitting on the edge of her bed in the room 314. Yeah, that would scare the bejesus out of me. Guests have also noted lights turning on and off on their own, as well as items disappearing and reappearing in strange locations. Actually, really similar hauntings to Stanley. Other guests report smelling a floral perfume in the middle of the night, which is like very spooky.
Yes.
There are other locations as well in the hotel that are allegedly haunted. One is the ballroom. People hear music playing on its own, like they can't find the source. So this is actually considered one of America's most haunted hotels, which was kind of a surprise to me because I feel like it's not one that pops up quickly.
Yeah.
And there's not as much like lore with it, I guess.
Right.
But there's a collection of stories as told by employees, which I always love because I feel like when guests tell them, I mean, we literally just did this, but we were there looking for an experience and I was not expecting the experience we got, literally catching a ghost on camera. Everyone, by the way, it's been a couple days since we were there at the hotel. We have shown everyone and their brother these photos and everyone is like, holy shit, you caught a ghost on camera.
Yeah.
So
my dad.
Well, he got there eventually.
I mean, he was like, cool.
Supportive. Yeah, supportive. Love that. But these are employee stories, which like is creepier because I don't know.
They're not there looking to get
no, and it's their place of work, so they really don't want that.
Yeah. No.
So this whole source for this story or the whole article is from Two Sisters Abroad, and their cousin actually worked there, and so the cousin collected the stories, who worked and lived at the hotel when they were younger. So a few stories to share. So on more than one occasion, this person, so I'm just gonna say it the way it's written, I would be walking in the main lobby and would see out of the corner of my eye what seemed to be a lady looking out over the mezzanine. Each time I would glance up, the image was gone, but a lot of employees and guests have had that same experience, and we all agree that it was Princess Carolyn.
Mm-hmm. She's really out there.
Yeah, truly. Do you want to read one?
Sure.
Read it.
Since I'm here.
Yeah, I know. It's so nice.
So this is called A Scary Encounter. In 1997, I was working as a housekeeper and had to clean room number 314, the princess's room. I went to service the room that newlyweds were staying in, and I knocked on the door and there was no answer. I opened the door, went in, and there was a little girl sleeping on the bed. Immediately, I went to the hallway to see my inspector. I don't know what that would be.
Her supervisor, I guess? I don't know.
Okay, and told her I couldn't clean the room because a little girl was sleeping. She said that was odd because the guests were newlyweds and nobody else was registered. She asked me to leave a note that I was coming back in an hour or so to service the room.
Yeah.
I went back to the room to leave the note by the table. I walked in quietly to not wake the little girl up. And when I looked at the bed, instead of a little girl, there was a woman staring right at me with the most scary smile on her face. She had black hair, white dress.
Of course.
I got chills down my spine and I just stood there frozen. She sat on the bed and kept staring at me. I ran out of the room and told my friend, who was also a housekeeper. We both went back in the room and there was no one there. I still have a hard time remembering that incident and I get chills every time I speak about it. I have many friends that have worked there and I heard a lot of scary things that happened. Oh, the day before this happened, my friend and I took pictures of ourselves on the princess's bed. Everybody tells me that I made her upset by doing that.
Oh, that gives me chills.
That might have been a mistake.
Yeah.
But also, it's interesting she had a scary smile, like that she was scary in this story, because it seems like she's kind of just
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like
if
she was disrespected, like felt disrespected.
Yeah. If they
But then who was the little girl?
Right. Oh yeah. Good question.
Creepy.
Yikes.
Yeah, very yikes. This one's called A Ballroom Visitor. In the late 80s, early 90s, when the hotel was still only seasonal. Wow, it was seasonal for a long time. I was working alone in the ballroom late in the fall, just before shutdown. That time of year always seemed to have more ghost activity, as if they knew we were all leaving soon. I'd been working on the floor and was resetting the room for a large meeting. The ballroom had super heavy curtains on the windows at the time, and I had them all closed. I was moving chairs from one side of the room, and at one point the curtains started flowing as if someone had a hold of them and was waving them back and forth. Yeah, that would be really scary. Yeah. That reminds me of the bathroom shower curtain in Wasna.
Oh, yeah.
Where we lived in university. I checked all the doors and windows and nothing was open. It made me wonder if someone was messing with me. I sat down a chair and stood back up, and clear as day, I saw a woman standing there in a hoop-style dress. Without even thinking about it, I started to leave, but then halfway to the door, I went back to see if it was someone playing a trick on me. I went back out into the middle of the ballroom and was facing towards the lobby of the hotel when it felt just like someone brushing past me. So I guess it wasn't a trick.
Yikes.
You're up.
Okay. A haunted orchestra. Oh, this sounds cool.
Yeah.
As I walked into the ballroom late one evening on a night where there were no performers, I heard the faint sounds of an orchestra playing. I thought a rehearsal was going on and I went to see who it was. There was no one there. No one. As I walked away from the side of the stage, the lights suddenly went out.
Oh.
The music got louder. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
It was surreal and very, very scary. I ran to the light switch and saw that it had been turned off.
Ew!
So it
wasn't like flickering, right. Like it moved the switch.
Yes. Yikes. I turned it back on and the lights went on for a second and then the switch turned down on its own.
Oh, right ahead. Reacted early.
Yikes. The entire time, the music kept playing. I ran out and found security and told them what happened. They went in to investigate and found nothing. No music and no problem with the lights.
Of course not.
Yeah. That's scary.
Oh my God. An inexplicable crash. I had a few experiences, but this is the one that stands out the most. A few summers ago, I was bartending in the Cave, which is the hotel bar. It was just after we opened, and I was standing on the side of the bar. No one was near the other end of the bar. The only people in the room were me, the other bartender, and the two guests that we were standing and chatting with. All of a sudden, we heard a loud thud at the opposite end of the bar, and a stack of teacups and saucers we had stacked underneath the bar came flying out at least 4 feet.
Whoa.
And smashed all over the place. No doubt in my mind, there was a spirit in the room. The guests we were chatting with quickly finished up the conversation and left for the night, and they never came back for a drink.
Certainly not.
So freaky. And then we'll finish off with these myths around Mount Washington. And I actually love this. And I feel like our tour guide at the Stanley did such a good job of this. Like, yes. Lucy, for example, like there's all this speculation about what happened. And I feel like it makes the hauntings seem so much, like feel so much more credible. And I think it does make it more credible because they're like, no, we fully have debunked this. Like this part's not true, but this part is true.
Yeah. Yep. That is a good point. This is interesting.
Yes, it is. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So in addition to all of the actual factual haunted history and like eyewitness experiences, there are also some myths surrounding the nature of Mount Washington and it's being paranormal. So growing up, these sisters were told that the hotel was haunted by Princess Carolyn, but they were also told that she had committed suicide in the hotel's elevator shaft, which is really violent and dramatic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where this myth regarding her death started, but it has been disproven. So she probably didn't even die in the hotel, would be my guess. I think they would have called that out. Yeah. And this is funny because when I found this, I sourced this about Mount Washington. I didn't read this part. There are also rumors that the Mount Washington inspired Stephen King's The Shining. Unfortunately, this is inaccurate, which we know because the Stanley Hotel inspired that movie. Yes. And it does indeed resemble the Mount Washington. Yeah. That's really funny. And this rumor definitely fueled the haunted reputation of the hotel in addition to all of the factual stuff that is included there. It is gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'll see if we can overlay this photo as well. But wow, it's like
mountains.
The description is almost the same as the Stanley because it's up against the mountains, but it doesn't have the same eerie, like up on a hill kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yep.
Like castle on a hill energy.
Yeah. And at the Stanley, the big peaks like that are like away from against dark like hills.
Yeah, it is dark.
Instead of beautiful peaks.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's freaking gorgeous. Yeah. Wow. Well, that is our Haunted Hotels episode with our own personal experience in Estes Park. So hopefully we'll be doing another in-person episode soon.
I know.
I leave Colorado tomorrow, everyone. I'm very sad.
Just pretending it doesn't exist.
We can pretend. Also, we're rewatching the Twilight movies, and 10 out of 10.
Yes.
I think this may actually be only like the third time I've ever seen them.
Okay.
Like, I think I saw them all once, like when they first came out, and then I think I've like piecemeal seen them all again. This is a big, I told you this, but this book series like ruined me. Like when I think I definitely didn't read them until high school. I think I was a freshman. I was not in a good way mentally at the time. And I read the first 3 right when Eclipse came out. And my mom like brought it up when I said we were going to rewatch this. She was like,
careful.
Yeah, she was like, I remember how messed up you were after you finished this book. So like, you sure? I was like, I'm much older now. But like going to bed last night, I was like, Edward's not real.
It's just a lifelong crush.
Yeah. And I mean, as horribly as this movie was casted, Robert Pattinson, like really horribly done. It wasn't Kristen Stewart was a mistake, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. Like she really just leaned into Bella being awkward,
but it was too far.
That was a main point, though.
It was
like it was her defining feature.
It was her. No, you're right. You're right.
And weird.
You're right.
And I mean, Kristen Stewart maybe executed it in a way that I wouldn't have if I was.
Because I feel like there's a way to be. Okay, this is. I'm like hesitant to say this because I don't want this to sound like commentary on her sexual orientation because she's now out.
Yeah.
But it's like there is a way to be clumsy and still feel kind of feminine. Yeah. And she just like has no feminine energy whatsoever. Yeah. And I mean, I know plenty of lesbians who are super femme, but like she's just not. And it's like you're an actor. Right. Even if you as a person don't have that, like, isn't that your job?
Yeah.
To protect?
You're right.
I don't know.
That's true.
I just, she's really pretty in the second one. They really got it together. And Taylor Lautner.
I hope he's not like 16 years old.
I don't think so. Oh my god, should we look? We're just a couple of pedos. Let's see. Taylor Lautner, age when filming Twilight.
16-year-olds.
He's got to be like 20.
Yeah. Oh no.
Wait, the second one.
Oh, okay.
When filming, Moon. 17. Oh.
Cut it.
How does a 17-year-old look like that?
That seems abnormal.
Like, and I like how Dave, Amy's boyfriend, was like, yeah, and then he got kind of fat.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he aged, apparently, like a normal person.
Yeah, okay. Are we leaving this in?
Yes. I think we have to own this. Okay, he gained over 25 pounds of muscle, worked out 5 days a week, and ate 3,200 calories a day to get into werewolf shape. He, however, admitted later that the physical transformation took a huge toll on his body.
Sure.
Oh?
Maybe we get a pass because we were like the same age.
Yeah.
It came out, and it's just
he looks 30, to be honest. Yeah. He does not have the body of a 17-year-old. Anyway, we would never.
No.
To be clear.
To be very clear.
Like, what if you were 16? I was like, shut up, you.
Well, I was thinking that last night when we were watching, and I was like,
how old was Robert Pattinson? 20s?
He's older.
I mean, but they all look old.
Yeah, I mean, all those vampires, especially.
Pattinson and Twilight. 22.
Okay.
Phew.
Fine.
Okay, because he's a hottie tottie.
He's not the same, though, as Jacob.
No.
I mean, sorry, Edward, but...
No. But see, like, Cedric Diggory is a sweet baby cutie pie, and he probably was a lot younger.
Yeah, he's probably 15.
Probably, but I'm not attracted to him.
He's a baby.
He's just a baby. Like, he's so cute, and you can tell he's going to grow up to be very handsome, but I'm not like, hey, hey, Rob.
You're not having impure thoughts.
Yeah. I will say this about Taylor Lautner.
Yeah.
At 17. So sorry, everyone. It's his body. It's not his face.
No.
Like, his face is still quite young looking. Yeah. I actually don't think he's that cute.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought his face was that cute. It was the full package. Yeah. And the fact that he provides some, like, less awkward interaction than she and Edward have. I feel like it's also, like, the chemistry between the actors is a little better. Yes. More snuggly and, like, cute.
Yeah. And even when he's delivering lines like, Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca? Like, it's not that horrible.
That's pretty horrible.
I mean, but imagine someone else saying that.
I know. Bella, where you been, Loca? Also, they're in the first book, there are times when his voice sounds so squeaky mousy. Like, he doesn't have a hot voice.
Oh. Yeah.
Which is funny, because, like, reading the books, I always imagined him being, like
wolfy.
Wolfy. Yeah, like, deep. And his voice, like, hey, Bella. Like, oh. Jumps.
Okay.
Kind of a jump scare voice, to be honest.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's just, like, you're, like, cover his face, just looking at his body, which also is so not like, appropriate.
Just his torso.
Yeah, just his torso. Nothing else.
I paid attention to his legs, but, I mean,
they're good. I mean, he's in jorts all the time, so choose to not look.
Oh my god. Okay, Dave has a pair of jorts, and I love them.
Are they loose or tight?
They're loose.
That's different.
Yeah.
Taylor's are like, very tight.
Hemmed and tight, I would hate it, but his are like frayed and loose.
Raggedy.
Yeah.
I feel like that would look good.
It's cute.
On his pins.
Yeah.
Noah would never.
Yeah.
He'd be like, no, it makes my legs look skinny. No, he'll wear he wears shorts, but he wouldn't wear jorts.
Yeah.
He wears like the like kind of like tailored looking khaki ones.
Okay. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's a good look.
Yeah. Or Lululemons.
Oh.
Imagine if you wore bike shorts.
No.
Tight ones.
No. With butt pads.
On the pins. Check out these pins.
Check out my pins.
All right, guys. That's enough from us.
Is it though?
It's never enough. It's never enough. Well, I'm going to try and overlay these photos now. We'll see if that works. I'm definitely going to cut out my coughing fit because that was like a full minute. And yeah, follow us on social at Girls Gone Spooky everywhere. Email us at girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. Send us your scary stories, DM us, email us, or use the form on our website, girlsgonespooky.com. Very consistent.
Yes.
I was surprised with the website. Yeah.
Yep.
Then again, Girls Gone Spooky. I don't know. Glad we're the first ones who thought of it.
Sorry, but that was the first name that we suggested for this podcast.
Yeah.
And it
just stuck
forever.
I know. Oh, wait. There's one more detail.
Oh, no.
We really wanted to retake the photo that we have as our cover photo of the twins, the Grady twins from the Stanley Hotel, and they don't have the cutout anymore. We were very sad.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were hoping to do that for you, but we did get my face in the cutout that
Let's just change it to that.
No.
Just you.
No. The here's Johnny, that photo of Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So we will share that for sure.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing a series of posts. Actually, by the time this is out, we probably will have posted them, a series of posts about our tour. So you will be able to see all the photos that we're talking about there. And then we'll also include the one of the Mount Washington for shits and giggies.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. And until then, stay spooky.
Bye.
Bye.